Hello there guys. Right, I want to give you something to look for in contracts, which if you find it, it normally means that that contract is a scam. It doesn't 100% of the time, it can be used on genuine ones as well, but I'd say about 80 or 90% of the time, if you find this, the token's probably going to be a scam, and it's a really quick and easy thing to look for as well. So this token is Shibatron. This is a scam, and it is in this contract. So we're over on BSC Scan. We're going to go to the code page, click in the block of code, and press Command and F or Control and F to bring up this search box and search for modifier. Right, I'm not going to go into detail in this video what modifiers are, how they're used, what they're for, any of that stuff, because that would make the video too long. I just want to give you something really quick to look for. So search for modifier and press this so you can scroll through the contract, finding all the places they've used a modifier. So that doesn't count. These are just comments. That's just talking about a modifier. So we'll ignore that. But this one is a modifier, and it modifies other functions in the contract. Now, this is one that you'll find in pretty much every contract. It's usually done exactly the same way, and if it's done this way, then it's genuine and it needs to be there and it serves a good purpose. But it's not like, you don't just write only owner in this modifier and then Solidity does everything else. The actual person that writes the contract has to program what this does. So a corrupt developer can make this do anything, but as a standard, everyone uses it to do the same thing. So very, very briefly, what this normally does is means that the current owner of the contract is the only person that can access these functions. So if they renounce the contract, they're not the current owner anymore, and it locks them out of these functions. So that's the way it should be used. But as I say, the actual developer is the person that makes it do that. The code doesn't make it do that, the developer does, and the developer can make it do anything that they want. But what I want you to look for is, are there any other modifiers? Because most contracts only have this one. So have a look through and see if you can find any more. So here we have another one, look, it's called only dev. So that means that something's going on here that isn't normal. This particular modifier is a require statement, which is saying that the message sender, which is basically the person that calls the function, the person that triggers one of these. Obviously, you have to log into Web3 and then you can use these functions. So it's saying that the person that does that has to be the wallet that has been named the fee address. Now that's not the same wallet as the owner. So that means if we've got only dev, which we'll search for, which we have, here we go. So function antibot, and it's saying only dev as the modifier. So that means that the person who has got that wallet, which is called fee address, not the same as the owner one, can trigger this function, and this function is not asking for the owner. So it doesn't matter if the ownership's renounced. This function's still open. So this is like a backdoor in the contract. We've also got this one here, look, function sbot. We've got function, where is it? Another one there. Function rbot. So there's a lot of functions in here that someone can call. There's another one that someone can call externally on this contract, even though the contract is renounced. Now that is a huge red flag. Even if you don't know what any of these things do, just by seeing that there are two modifiers, one is only owner and the other is something else, that should indicate to you that this contract probably has a backdoor. Now, I have more than one modifier on a contract that I've just done, but I'm using them in a genuine way. I'm certainly not using them for backdoors. So in a lot of situations, you are going to find more than one modifier, but normally it means it's a scam. Now, there is one other modifier that's very, very common, and that's called lock the swap. So you'll see this one really, really often. I'm just going to jump into a bit of code so I can show it you. Modifier. So there's my only owner modifier, and I also have in here So we can just jump to the next one. There it is, look, lock the swap. So you'll see that one very often in, or lock swap. You'll see that one very often in your contract as well. And it always looks like this. It will say in swap and liquefy is true. Then we'll have the underscore, and then it will say in swap and liquefy is false. And it basically protects a function that uses this from being run when it's already running, because that would cause a problem. It sort of locks that function down to only run once at a time. That's what happens there. So you will see this one sometimes looks exactly like this, and you'll also see the one that was the owner thing as well, which will look pretty much exactly like this. But if you see any others, especially things like only dev and stuff like that, let that be an alarm for you and get very suspicious about the contract. I will make another video where I go into these modifiers in a lot more detail because they are really interesting, and the way that some people use them as well is a little bit devious. But this particular person was using this only dev modifier to allow them to have access to these functions, like this function here, sbot. You can only trigger that function if you are the wallet, which was, I think it was called fee setter or something, in that only dev function. So they have access to this function, even though this contract is renounced. The owner is all the zeros. So there we go. Be very, very aware of more than one modifier in a contract. But do bear in mind, the names aren't mandatory, like only owner. It's just what we tend to use. It's become a default, but it doesn't have to be. The names can be anything. What they actually do can be anything. And a scammer could create a modifier called only owner and use it in a different way to do whatever they like. None of this stuff is done by the code. It's not like pre-programmed or anything like that. It's all done by the developer when they write the code. So we have to write the code that tells the contract what the modifier only owner does. It doesn't just happen automatically. So there we go, guys. I hope that gives you a way that you can identify whether or not a token could possibly be a scam. I'm not saying it's always going to be a scam, but probably about 90% of tokens that have more than one modifier, or I should say more than two, only owner and lock the swap. You should expect to see those on most contracts, and genuine contracts tend to always have them. If you see any other modifiers, then it's not a guarantee that it's a scam, but it's very, very likely. So tread very carefully. That's all from me, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.